Hey everyone, I am joined by my GearFest BFF Justin, and he is going to tell us about some of the new stuff that D'Angelico and Supro is putting out, because we met last year and we didn't get a chance to do this, and I was like, damn it, this year we're doing something. So yeah, we're going to do that, and I'm going to let Justin take it away.
Awesome. Well, Jason is my GearFest BFF. I keep seeing him everywhere.
Yeah.
He's at the guitar stores and the cafeterias at the hotel, so this is serendipitous, and I'm really excited to be doing this right now. There's been a lot going on with both D'Angelico and Supro and Pictronics as well. So it's been a great year so far. We have a lot of exciting stuff that have come out, and there's a lot of exciting things that we're working on. Something that I just kind of pulled aside to show you right off the bat is the Deluxe Melanie Faye DC.
Oh.
And this guitar is actually newly available at Sweetwater, which is why I have it down here. And it's just a really cool guitar. And I think what you've seen a lot from D'Angelico is these signature guitars that we put out with some of these artists, and using the signature guitars as ways to like test new features and kind of get a little more creative with artists and kind of concepts. And I think this guitar doesn't fall short in that regard.
Okay, so a quick question about this, because what catches my eye immediately are the two pickups. One's covered and one isn't. Is that just aesthetic, or are there two different pickups?
So it's just aesthetic. It has coil splits. The tone knob is pulled out, so you can actually get, I think it comes out to 10 onboard settings. And these pickups specifically are Ken Armstrong's Icon 57s, which we do a lot of stuff with Seymour Duncan. We did a lot of stuff with Ken Armstrong. They make great pickups, and we did a lot of stuff with them about 5 years back and before. So it's just really cool to bring some of those pickups back into the line. Dang. Melanie, although Melanie's like a big soul R&B kind of jazz influenced player, one of her favorite guitar players of all time is Jimmy Page. Oh. So she wanted to do this as kind of an homage to Jimmy Page, which is cool because other than the pickups, like this is a very modern semi-hollow guitar, but it has that custom kind of feel to it, and it's very Melanie in that way. So it is a semi-hollow. Yeah. And it's got a full center block, so it's great for feedback resistance. One of the things that it's really important to us when we do center blocks is that they're lightweight. Because a lot of the times you get semi-hollow guitars and you pick them up and you're like, ugh. Oh yeah, they're like those center blocks are like might as well be cement blocks. And so we really kind of refined the design of our center blocks so that they kind of have that nice balance of being lightweight, but they still kind of get the job done. And you get that extra sustain, you get that feedback resistance, and it's just great. And it has the mint pick guard, and this is a metallic surf green finish, which is kind of based on the guitar that Melanie originally played, and kind of what kind of defined her career was a standard XL DC in a surf green finish. So she wanted to do this kind of metallic sparkle in the finish for her signature guitar. But other than that, I mean, the guitar really is a recreation of that like 2016 D'Angelico XLDC that she really played in that beginning of her career that still is one of her favorite guitars to this day. So this is just a really cool guitar that we're stoked about.
I feel like GearFest has been so educational for me because, I mean, I knew about like center blocks and what they do, but I think you explained it the best. I'm kind of slow at times, so yeah. That works.
I appreciate it. Well, it's a great segue because one of our other newest guitars.
Oh.
So this right here is our other newest signature guitar, which was designed by Mark Whitfield. If you don't know Mark, he's just an incredible jazz guitarist based in New York. He did a lot of stuff in the R&B world in like the 90s and early 2000s, D'Angelo, Mary J. Blige. Oh. And now it's just kind of like one of the staples in the New York jazz scene. He's played with everybody. And this guitar actually doesn't have a center block. It just has a bridge post. So you have this floating ebony bridge here, and behind it there's just a post to basically kind of keep everything in place. But other than that,
it's full hollow.
Fully hollow. And it complements, I think, the Melanie Faye DC really well.
It does. That finish pops really nice, especially with the gold accents and the pick guard, the wood grain pick guard. I call it station wagon wood. It looks really nice.
Station wagon wood, I like it, I believe it's a Macaster ebony pick guard, ebony bridge, wooden knobs, ebony fingerboard. I mean, the idea with this guitar, keep it hollow, put as much wood on it, let the guitar sustain, give it that acoustic-like punch. Mark was very big on playing these kind of handmade, these archtop guitars, and he has a great collection of like L5s and stuff like that. And we wanted to kind of take the feel and kind of power of those guitars and bring it down into something that's only 15 inches wide and, you know, less than 2 inches thick. And that's what the XLSSO is. While it's a signature guitar to Mark and it gets you Mark's sound, this guitar was designed for the working musician. And you can throw it in a gig bag and take it wherever you want, and you can still get that archtop-like sound that I think people love D'Angelico for.
Now, I know us pickup aficionados would like to know what pickup is that, because it looks like a mini humbucker, but being that it's a jazz guitar, I don't want to assume.
It is a mini humbucker, and it's also a Ken Armstrong.
Okay.
And I would say the most significant part about it is that it's a floating pickup.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't want to assume, because it's like, I think that's what threw me off, just seeing how it looks like floating.
Yeah, and the idea, you know, floating pickups are not often seen on guitars that are the thickness of a semi-hollow. Mm-hmm. And that was the idea of, like, you know, floating pickups you see a lot on full-size hollow body and, you know, archtop guitars. And why they work is because they don't obstruct the wood in that you don't have to drill a hole in the guitar. And therefore, they do a really good job of kind of retaining the clarity of the guitar itself and recreating the sound of the inside of the chamber. They're a little bit more delicate to work with, but, you know, if you're playing kind of jazz or kind of more acoustic inspired genres, it's a sacrifice that's worth it, because you just get that extra woodiness that I think gives you that sound that a lot of people are looking for. And you know, you just don't really see a guitar like this in this kind of price point and in kind of a production level capacity. I mean, a lot of handmade luthiers will make guitars like this, but they're often $10,000.
Ooh.
So
yeah, that's not very working class. This is the guitar I would say I'm most curious to hear, so we'll probably get Tia to do a demo of this later. I'm very curious to hear how it sounds. So,
yeah.
What's next? What can we check out next?
I'll show you one more D'Angelico. It's been sitting behind me, staying in the semi-hollow world. We covered a full-size DC, an SS. This is a mini DC from our Tour Series collection. And this came out late in 2022. And it's been one of our most fun designs, you know, in recent years with D'Angelico. And the idea with this guitar, you know, people know D'Angelico for the opulent, super Art Deco, shiny, you know, nostalgic feeling guitars. And while this is still that, it's built with a little less of that opulence, and it's really going for that more retro kind of flavor. I would say the standout feature of this guitar is these pickups, which are the first pickups we've used in D'Angelico guitars designed by the folks at Supro.
Oh.
You know, it's great to see our two brands kind of
collaborating,
and these are, you know, Supro's take on a late 50s PAF style humbucker. I never like describing pickups in adjectives because it's so, like, subjective, but they're definitely a powerful, bold pickup that definitely bring out the rockier side in D'Angelico guitars for sure.
Oh, nice. I have a second favorite that I'm curious to hear, because that you're right up my alley with that. You had me at PAF, so.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna love them, and I know you like, you know, indie rock stuff, and this is definitely like the indie rock semi-hollow, you know, in the D'Angelico line, and it's just great. It's simple. 2 knobs, master volume, master tone. It's just awesome. You got these like cream tuners, which are great, and these mini kind of diamond inlays. Actually, one of my favorite parts about the guitar is the satin.
Yeah,
nickel hardware.
Yeah, that's what I noticed with the hardware, that it was satin. I know you guys can't see this, but it pops in person. Like, it's the little things, and that makes a difference.
Yep, and this is a slate blue finish, and the satin with the blue with the cream. It feels like something you would see in like a movie from the 50s or something.
Yeah.
It's just got this like really cool, unique vibe that I think people really, you know, artists that we work with have really gravitated towards it. So that's a really cool guitar.
Nice.
Do you want to talk Supro?
Yeah, let's talk Supro. We got a little bit more time, so let's talk Supro.
Cool.
So we're back at the Supro booth. Yeah, you know, we had to get set up again.
Yeah, we've just rotated here, so now we're in the Supro hub of the booth.
So let's talk Supro, because I know Nelson, our editor, he's been eyeing a few of these. And I've been curious too, especially about the Black Magic. I think both Tia and I have been interested about that. So tell us about the amps.
Great. Well, there's just so many amazing things to say about Supro and how unique they are in the world of modern amplifiers, and how they kind of recreate these iconic 50s, early 60s amps that Supros are known for, and how we've kind of taken some of those old circuit boards and kind of created modern amps that kind of extend upon what Supro was doing back in the day. What we have here is a great representation of that. This is the Supro Amulet, which was new last year. First time it's at GearFest, and there's just so many great things to say about it. It's a 110 Celestion creamback speaker, and the real highlight with this amp is it has a built-in attenuator.
Oh.
So you can actually switch between 1 watt, 5 watts, and 15 watts. I think a lot of people with amps, they're not always taking them on gigs where they're turning them up. They're recording with them, they're at home practicing, and what a lot of people complain about is like, I have this amp, but I don't get the most out of it unless I turn it all the way up. So with the Amulet, you just put it on 1 watt or 5 watts, turn your volume up, and you hear that preamp section and power section just like working to its fullest extent, and you're really getting what you want out of the amp at like a bedroom level volume. And then if you're at the gig, flip it to 15, turn that thing up, and you're rocking. And then you got onboard all analog preamp tremolo and analog spring reverb, which if you've played Supro amps, the reverb and the tremolo especially the tremolo is just absolutely gorgeous. And
we know I love me some reverb, so
who doesn't,
Yeah.
And this is a new kind of aesthetic for Supro, which is a black Scandia Tolex, very Valco inspired. The hemp grill cloth here has like a little bit of a gold sparkle to it if you like look closely, and it's just like bringing the D'Angelico and Supro brands together.
Yeah.
It has this really nice marriage, which makes it great.
When I walked over here, I noticed this amp immediately, and I was like, it has a very cool Art Deco look to it. And to me, it was just like, damn, this is really pretty.
Yeah, I think with Supro and D'Angelico, we want the brands to kind of have their own voice. But even before we were all part of the same family, so many people would pair Supros and D'Angelicos. They had this like marriage of the two, and we really wanted to bring that out in some of these more recent amps we've put out and really bridge the two companies, and they just complement each other beautifully, and they work great independently. And that's kind of what's been exciting about working with both of these great companies. And then just to go back to more of Supro's roots, hold this for 1 second. You asked about it, and it's here, the Blackmagic Reverb.
Of course, yeah, the Blackmagic Reverb is something I've had my eye on for a while. Tell us about what's probably my favorite amp right now out of the bunch.
The Blackmagic Reverb is the flagship Supro. It's when you think Supro, you think the Blackmagic. And the inception of this design goes back to Jimmy Page. So Jimmy Page modded up a late 50s Coronado. And a few years ago, we wanted to recreate that early Led Zeppelin kind of sound that I think has so much universal appeal. And so we made the Blackmagic, which matched the exact control panel and a lot of the circuitry of that original amp. And while people love the Blackmagic because it has that like OG kind of traditional Supro swag, for more modern players, there's some limitations. It didn't have a master volume switch. It didn't have expanded equalization. It didn't have reverb. And so we wanted to create a design based off the Blackmagic, but that just had the flexibility that I think modern guitarists, like Lenny Kravitz was one of the people who had the idea for this amp.
Oh, wow.
And that's where you get the Blackmagic Reverb. So you got your master volume, tremolo, reverb, treble bass controls. You got input 1 is a sum between channel 1 and 2, and then there's just channel 2 on its own, which that's my personal favorite. It's just Supros are Class A amps, and that's really the foundation of our brand and kind of that single-ended tube configuration. You get that mid-range, heavy, but not piercing, rounded overdrive that I think you get with these amps, and that is what the Blackmagic Reverb embodies. And I think, for every artist that plays this amp, I just hear the same thing. I mean, it's usable and it's unique at the same time. So
Love to hear that. Love to hear that. And what do we have over here in the corner?
So I can pull that up here. So this is the Royale, and this is actually the first introduction to that black Scandia Tolex I was talking about, the Amulet. This was the amp that all the D'Angelico artists were like, we love Supro, but where's the perfect clean amp?
Yeah.
Where's the amp that we can backline, get a big, loud, clean sound that's bold, and have every kind of feature on it that someone who wants a great clean tone can have, while still being able to do the Class A Supro Blackmagic overdrive swag. So I think the first thing to mention about this amp is that you can actually switch between 50-watt Class AB, which is your kind of more twin reverb, deluxe reverb style amp, but also your 35-watt Class A, which is, again, you kind of come into the more of the territory of the Blackmagic reverb. And so that in itself is a great starting point to kind of define the character of what you want the Royale to be. And then from there, you have programmable boosts. Everything's foot switchable, by the way. You can turn on and off the reverb, which is controlled by a level and a dwell. And then you have, treble, bass, and mid equalization plus an effects loop, which you can even just turn the effects loop on without putting anything into the effects loop. It's a 2 buffered effects loop, so it adds a little bit of saturation in the signal that just gives the amp a little bit of a lift. So there's just a lot to play with. One channel, simple. There's not like 4 channels that you don't know which one to plug into. Everything's streamlined and elegant and easy.
Damn. We will definitely get Tia to demo some of this stuff, and yeah, we'll be back. Justin, thank you for letting us do this, and not only that, but for being my BFF at GearFest, because I have bad anxiety, and seeing you again was just like, okay, cool, he's cool, I can gravitate towards him. So,
well, you always have a friend here at the booth, and come hide out here if you want to play some stuff.
Hell yeah,
we got lots of it.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Sweetwater, for putting on GearFest 2023. Yada yada yada, and we're out.
a great picture.
Seymour Duncan.
Welcome back to GearFest 2023. I'm Jason,
I'm Tia.
and we are joined by our longtime friend. I'm so glad we finally got to meet, Monique.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. So I figured, this is more so going to be my bag because I was like, there's no way we're leaving here without talking to Seymour Duncan about any kind of pickups.
Right.
So I figured let's talk about some new pickups.
Awesome.
All right, sweet. So Monique, take it away.
Yeah, so as you may have heard, we've had a pretty busy year for 2023. We've released almost 23 new products.
Boy.
So we've been busy. But what we've got here on display today, we've got the Psychedelic Strat, the Scoop Strat, and our new Hyper Switch, which just came out. Scoop Strat and Psych Strat came out last year, but we're kind of rolling it into this year. And then on this side, we've got the High Voltage, the Green Magic, and the 78, which I think everybody knows from Eddie's days working with Seymour. But yeah, aside from that, we've also got the new Power Stage 100 Stereo, which is new specifically for GearFest 2023.
Oh,
Nice.
We've got an exclusive that's being offered only at Sweetwater for the time being. We'll open that up to Web Direct like later this year.
Okay.
But yeah, aside from that, we've also done Corey Wong, Larry Basilio, Mark Holcomb, Wes Houck's 7-string Jupiter rails, and a few others I'm probably forgetting off the top of my head. But it's a long list, so it's been a good year.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a lot to take in. Like, for you to forget something, that was already a lot. So. Yeah, that's exciting. So out of this lineup, which set of pickups has you the most excited?
I have to say that the 78s are pretty cool. I'm not like a big Van Halen wannabe necessarily, but I do like the tone of those. They're pretty crisp and enjoyable. But I have to say that the Hyper Switch has been most exciting for me. If you're like a person that likes to fuss around with like push-pull pots and kill switches and stuff, I think the Hyper Switch is just a really cool way to do that without having to mod your guitar like a million times.
Yeah.
And it's also a way to kind of make your guitar into 2 or 3 guitars in one if you wanted to, when you like kind of like mess with the settings and blah blah blah. So if you have a guitar with humbuckers in it, you could have like 6 or 7 guitars loaded into one and store it onto the Hyper Switch app. So
okay,
pretty
cool.
badass.
That's a lot to take in.
Yeah, so
a lot of information.
Inquiring minds want to know, as far as the Hyper Switch, is it solderless?
It is solderless.
Ooh.
And if you are interested, you can watch the videos I filmed showing how to install the Hyper Switch.
Yeah, we'll have a link in the description.
Okay, yeah, it's super easy. I mean, if you're like, oh my god, I'm installing this crazy tech, like it's really not too bad, and it works with most other passive pickups too. So if you play DiMarzio or Bare Knuckle or Lawler or Frailin or whatever, so you can use it with a variety of different brands.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are making this easy.
Yeah,
All
I like-
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about
Sweet.
the Power Stage.
Yeah, so the Power Stage is just another member of the Power Stage family of products. If you, if you have a flyout date, or if you, just want to drop your Diesel Herbert, or you play a modeling amp, which I do. I play a Quad Cortex. It's just nice to have something a little bit more compact that you can EQ pretty easily. This is the stereo version, so it's 100 watts per side, which is a lot of people said that's pretty nice. And it's just a lot of fun. We were trying it out here on the first day. I don't really play with phasers very much, but we ran our Polaron through it, and it was just cool to hear it like phasing back and forth. And I don't know, I think I might actually add the stereo thing to my own rig because it was just fun to play with. I don't usually play with it too much because I'm a metal musician, so it's not really something you think about. But since my band is a little bit more shoegazy, it's like there's opportunity for that there. So
Yeah, now there's a use.
Yep,
yeah.
there is always a use. I haven't asked anyone else this question. When I have, there's a video coming out about it. But I wanted to ask you yesterday, what's the hottest piece of gear you've seen at GearFest so far?
So funny enough, aside from stuff that we've been showing, GearFest for me has been a really great way to see what all of the content creators are using. I found out about the DJI Bluetooth lav mics, which I think Emily Harris from Get Offset showed me, and then I saw Phil McKnight using those yesterday, so I went out and bought some at the Sweetwater store. That was cool. And then Carlos, who's got his own YouTube channel, they've got 4 million subscribers, was running around here yesterday with it's like a DJI, like one of those little gimbal things, but it like films. I was like, this is so cool. I love gear and I love guitar, so that stuff is kind of new for me and a new world for me. I'm not really like a big videographer person. So that was kind of fun. Guitar-wise, I'd have to say I really do like the new T-style PRS guitars that came out. They're really fun, and I like some of the finishes that they released, and I'm just a ginormous PRS fangirl, so I had to give them some love. And yeah, I would say that's about it.
Oh, dang.
I mean, that's a great list.
Yeah.
That was excellent.
Yeah. Other than that, I know we can't talk about any leaks, and I'm not going to say that. No, I know we can't. I'm just saying. I know. Oh, let me finish. Let me finish. We're not going to talk about leaks because I don't want to get canceled, and Nelson will hate me. But if I were a guitar playing person, is there something you guys have in store that we should be excited for coming up further this year?
Yes. The answer is hell yes. There's a lot of cool things we have on the calendar for 2024 specifically. There is one pickup set in particular I'm not going to talk about that people have been asking for years. So that is going to be really exciting and a lot of fun. And then there might be something that you in particular are going to dig, but I can't say it because if I say it, it's going to end up all over the internet.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Monique.
Of course.
Now I'm excited about this. I'm just like, whoa, wonder what it can be. We'll have to find out this upcoming year or next year. But yeah, thank you again, Monique, and thank you to Seymour Duncan, both the company and the person, for making such awesome pickups and for being so kind to our channel. It really means a lot to us, especially me being the pickup nerd that I am. So yeah, if you guys haven't, check out all the other content creators and let us know what you think. And we'll talk to you later.
Adios.
Sweet.
Yep.
That went great. I was a little nervous, but I think it did.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
No, that was good. That was good.